Hi everyone and welcome back to our daily vlogs. Today we are looking at the book Prayer by Philip Yancey and we are in chapter 14 if you've been following on, and the heading within the book by Yancey is titled Tongue Tied, and in particular the section and the subject is around distractions. So when we think of distractions, kind of how perhaps we can get distracted within our prayer, like our prayer routine, prayer life, how we pray, where we pray perhaps, but also how we can almost refocus, and when we put everything in perspective, how we can refocus our prayer life and our way of praying centered around God, and what in particular we pray about and how we pray as well. Like, I think we all come face to face with distractions from our daily life, like whether that is church life, or what we have on going on at work or university, or whatever we might be doing within our lives, whether that is a job or being a student or a parent or a grandparent. And I think it's important to know, like, we aren't alone when it comes to distractions. Like, we're all going to get distracted by one thing or another from time to time, but it's almost how we can all refocus our lives and, like I said, center around God. And again, what I said before is like that conversation and that interaction that we will all have perhaps from time to time when we pray with God or to God. So I think it's important to remember that, like it says, like we can become tongue-tied if we feel lost. And I know particularly like when I was at university, that I got perhaps distracted, or another word I could use instead of distracted is kind of, I don't want to say busy, but busy, where almost it can seem like we don't have time for prayer, which isn't the case, but actually that's how it perhaps comes across. And because you're so, I guess, focused again, like focused on our studies or focused on our families or our line of work, that again, that distracts us from taking that time aside to pray. So I think it's really good, like I said last week, about having two worlds. It's like our prayer world and our reality world of everyday life and our busyness that we all go through. But again, it's remembering that when we can, I guess, like regroup, refocus, and if we have these study groups or again like Bible apps, like I have a reminder on a Bible app I use through my phone where I try to, like, it's not always going to plan, but I try to set reminders for like certain times in the day. So like 8 a.m. where I'll try and like pray on a Saturday, or I remember to look at a like Bible plan I'm going through, whether that be with my mum or by myself, and it just kind of like has that time. And also I have that time, but I also have that chance to like reconnect with God. And when I once was distracted, because I'm now focused on like my new job, which I absolutely love, but remembering that I do again set aside that conversation and that communication I have through God. And I always remember that I try to pray at bedtime, and I think it's almost like having a routine, like being routinely within our prayer life. Like, although we do have distractions from life itself, but remember to try and get into a routine within our prayer lives. And I think a really good Bible quote that we could perhaps reflect on being tongue-tied or being distracted is perhaps within Luke chapter 18 verse 1, is pray and never give up. Because actually, although we don't have to be religiously praying every single day, because like life does get in the way, and we have these everyday distractions. Like, there are, like, every day is going to be completely different and whatever goes on for all of us. But actually, when we do pray, we're never giving up within our routines of trying to pray and have that conversation. And I think another great one is perhaps when we look at Galatians 5 verse 22, where it says, "But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness and faith." And actually it might not come to mind for many people, but if you almost pick it apart, like that verse, you pick it apart, it kind of talks about if we are distracted from praying, or we just don't have that time thinking, oh, I'll pray on Saturday morning, but something else comes up, actually don't beat yourself up about it, because God still watches over us and God protects us at all times. But actually remember that the Spirit is patient and he is kind and he is full of goodness, and faith is what keeps all of us going in life. So actually it's a good reminder in Galatians 5:22 that he is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness and faith. And whatever happens when we do get distracted, he'll always be there for us, and we will always find time to talk and reflect and have the opportunity of prayer.